Relax, the keyboard is off, the press box is closed, but the mic is just getting warmed up. In fact, it's on fire. The guardian of the blue paint turned writer makes a great stick save with his first piece about a young player that is looking to open the eyes of the coaching staff. A show where the writers are fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. In fact, this one is still drying about some players the Flyers could add. Welcome to the Hockey Writers Inc.
Hi guys, welcome back to another edition of the Hockey Writers Inc. As always, I'm your host, Lance Green.
And I'm your co-host, SteelFlyers. And boy, have we got a great show for you lined up today. Opening eyes and turning heads. And thanks to Lance and his awesome fingers and laptop capabilities and writing capabilities, we got some great articles to talk about today. So, Lance, how you been, man? What's been going on?
I've been pretty good. How about yourself?
Yeah, man. Are getting better every day. The ankle gets a little better every day. The ankle gets a little better. So thank you very much for that. Appreciate that.
Yeah, good to hear.
Yep. Also, I'd like to say thank you for FlyersNittyGritty.com and Jamie Baskow for helping us to make the Bleacher Reports once again. It just seems like every time the show comes out, it just makes it out there and get a salute for sure on that. So thank you very much for that. And we'd also like to thank our sponsors, www.cccresorts.com. We will try to get the commercial out here for you to check that out on the show here today. So we got a lot of stuff to get into. Let's get into it. And Lance, my man, you've been really busy. There's been a lot of great articles that you've posted over the last couple of weeks here. We've had so many articles to talk about, and these two are definitely, do not disappoint. So let's get into the first article that you wrote that was posted on FlyersNittyGritty.com. Our guardian of the blue paint turned writer posted a great piece about a certain particular player named Max Willman. And he is suddenly opening a lot of eyes, and boy howdy has Max been doing that in Lehigh. How about?
Yeah, definitely. Max has come on strong here with all the injuries to certain players on the Phantoms and unexpected ones and everything that it has just gave him the opportunity where he was just a depth forward coming into the start of this season. Now he is playing along with Zayd Wisdom and others who are making some big openings in people's minds. So it's been fantastic to watch both of them go at it and just really impressed
Yeah.
as far as that goes.
I'm
So
with you. I'm with you on that. I definitely agree with you 100%. Um, what is it about Max though that's opening eyes? I mean, you did mention there that, and especially you mentioned that in your article that he's now been paired with Wisdom, and he and him, both of them guys have been lighting it up down there. So what is it about Max that's opening eyes?
well, I think not too many people knew who he was. The name doesn't stand out there. The Flyers faithful didn't see Philadelphia selecting him in the past couple of years, so we don't really know anything about him. He came from the Sabres. He was
Yeah.
drafted by the Sabres. He spent a lot of time in the Ivy League, playing for I think Brown.
Yeah.
Yep, the Brown Bears, and he came up through the ranks. Through the ECHL and impressed there with Reading once he graduated. And now he's stepped on to the Phantoms and the AHL and has just seemingly done it with little to no transition time and is excelling at an amazing pace and making a name for himself for sure.
That's why I like about the article that you wrote here about him, because you did introduce the Flyers fans to this particular player, and I also think that not only is he opening eyes down there in the fans, but I think he's opening eyes up here at the top brass with the big club. You know what I mean? And could be looked at as somebody that could potentially get a call.
Well, I don't know because he is on a one-way deal for them.
Oh,
He's
okay,
he's he's just signed to an AHL level contract right now.
okay.
So he's
He's down there
not
for
got
this year.
that. Yeah, he's down there for this year. He
Yeah.
expires, that contract expires at the end of this season. So with all of the restricted free agents and unrestricted free agents that the Flyers have, not to mention the other, guys that are on a
Mm-hmm.
two-way deal. He might be one next season that gets that two-way deal offered to him at least, and will gladly be one of those guys being called up over some of the other names that have less than impressed
Yeah.
this season when their number has been called.
Yeah, I'm
So.
with you on that for sure. And we've seen some that have been less to impress when their numbers have been called. And he seems like he could potentially be one of those players, just not going to be this year. It sure seems like he's getting some chemistry, though, with a certain draft pick from the Flyers, a certain wisdom. What's been going on down there with that? I mean, they've been putting some points on the board, haven't they?
They definitely have. I think they were clicked very easily and came together with all the injuries occurring and all that, and they have been able to just run with it. And teams may not know who those two names were necessarily, or didn't expect those two players to take off as they have this season. But regardless of who gets called up, Kase and all these other names being called up to the big show that were on the line with them, they
Yeah.
just continue on and impress further and further and continue to put up points that have them among league leaders in the AHL this season.
Right. I'm
So
with you. I'm with you.
it's definitely opening some eyes, like we said, and it's inspiring. I mean, these guys were not thought to be able to do this. I mean, you look at Wisdom, who shouldn't even be here technically if the
Fourth round draft pick.
well, fourth round draft pick, and he's not even of age yet. He's just allowed to be playing in the AHL this season due to COVID and his junior team not playing right now. So,
Lucky us.
yeah, he's taking advantage and getting that spotlight shown on him a little bit early in a sense. And, now you got to start to think with the way the Flyers have been playing as of late. He might get a call up here, as I previously
Yeah.
was calling for.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for the Tahoe game when the Flyers decided to play two defensemen rather than play, a kid like this that has been on fire for the Phantoms so far.
I'm with you on that, and I agree with you 100%, Lance, because you know me and you are always pretty much on the same page when it comes to who we think should be in and who we think should be out. And I agree. I really thought that with all of the great things that AV has done, he has definitely done some head scratchers. You know what I mean? Some things I just don't understand. So look, we're not down there. We're not, we don't get to be part of the team every single day. Unfortunately. But you know what I mean. So, do you think that with Max being a part of the Phantoms and pairing up with Wisdom, do you think that can propel the Phantoms to a Calder Cup?
I'm not sure. They definitely have some good defense, with Wyatt Wiley down there, Zumala down
Zumala's
there.
playing well.
He's starting to come on now in his first year as a professional. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if they have the depth in other areas, but
Yeah.
Radcliffe is finally back now, healthy.
Yeah.
If we got back Forrester healthy soon, and he
That would
starts to
help.
take off, that would definitely help.
Yeah.
So, now Case's down there. If the Flyers remain healthy and don't keep taking these guys off the roster, maybe
Yeah.
maybe Moran, staying down there and keep, developing his time on wing, or, slotting in as defense and
When
remaining
needed.
healthy
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
All those factors are going to come into play. I think the goaltending has been better. Sandstrom is a guy that I questioned last season, and
And
he
even at the
seems to
beginning of
be,
this season, we were
yes.
questioning him a little bit too.
Yeah, and he seems to even be uh, getting the North American game more so this
See,
season.
yes, exactly.
So
Because that's
that's
exactly what we
that's
talked
good.
about. That's exactly what we talked about with him. We were even talking about that with Ivan. That when he comes here to the States and plays in the North American League, he's going to have to take that time to adjust. You
Yeah,
know
it's
what
a
I
more of
mean?
a learning curve for sure.
Exactly. Exactly. We saw that with the goalie in New York.
Hmm.
I mean, it took him a little while to get. I mean, it always takes guys a little while to adjust to a different ice surface or a size of ice or whatever. You know what I mean? I never played, but I know the difference between, say, a regulation high school field and then you get onto a regulation field, and it's a slightly bit different. You understand what I'm saying? Okay.
Sure, sure.
The 52 and a half yards across and 130 yards long, that's a slightly different than what you're used to, you know what I mean? So making that transition is going to be a special thing for them too as well too. I think that with the additions that has been going on with the Phantoms, I think they have a chance. I like what they've been doing. I like this Max player. I like what Wisdom's doing. I like what Zumala's doing. I like what the team has been able to put together. The the fact that they're playing, I mean, that right there, I'll take that all day long, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how could you not like the fact that the AHL is finally playing? Now, what do you think of Max's chances of? So he's on a one way contract this year. Is he going to be able to be signed for next year? Does he need to be signed for next year? Is that what the case is?
Yeah, I think he would most likely get a two-way contract from the Flyers next year. If he starts out in the Phantoms, then great. But you know, with guys like Michael Raffle and different players like that aging, and with all the other free agents that the Flyers have to re-sign, Carter Hart and Sanheim being two of the biggest names there, Lawton as well. I think that somewhere they got to save a little money, and maybe one of those players like Willman can can maybe make the squad if he has a good camp and can do that on wing there. So I think Radcliffe, if he has a good season this year, will be there, and a couple other names, but players got to stay healthy. In my mind, Wade Allison would be there probably too, but he got the injury bug again as well. So, which has
Yeah,
another name that gave Max a chance to play.
exactly,
So,
exactly. And that's how it always is. Somebody gets injured, and it's unfortunate, but that's an opportunity for the next guy up. You know
mhm.
what I mean? And this guy just happened to be the next guy up, and boy, was this a kind of a lucky plop in the lap kind of thing, because this player here seems like exactly what you say in your article. He does seem to be opening eyes and turning heads. If he's signed for next year, and that's the thing that I'm excited about too, is I would like to see him sign and then get into camp and see how he looks in camp along with some of the other players that are on the big club instead of playing with the guys down on the AHL. You know what I mean? Because he is kind of 26 years old now, right?
Yeah, he's definitely not a kid anymore. He has the years in some big games there in college and the collegiate ranks and everything as well. So I don't think that learning curve is necessarily there as much, and maybe that's why he was able to step in the season with the Phantoms. He played a little bit last season with them, but that's why he's not got that kid mentality anymore. He knows what's going to be expected of him as a professional, and he's stepped in and has taken over. So the Flyers gotta really evaluate the players that they have under contract and see if some of these lesser names that they signed previously that haven't really panned out, whether they're worth keeping around or whether you want to trade a couple of them to create spots for other people. I've said this before, a lot of contracts were here with under Ron Hextall, and now you have new ownership or new man at the helm
New
rather,
management.
new management at the helm, and he's going to want to bring his own guys in,
Yeah.
and you know, he's going to have to create some spots because they're just pushed to the brim with contracts
Yeah.
and can't really sign anybody else until some other players are let go. So
Okay. All right. I got you. I got you. But he does seem like he would be one of those particular players that could come on the cheap, that could be that particular, player that the Flyers could use as a depth forward. That would be somebody that they could bring in, on occasion to play those odd game or whatever. So yeah, I definitely could see that. I would like to see at least him get a shot. You know what I mean? At least be able to get an invite to camp and see how that works. Especially if things pan out really well this year with him playing down at the Phantoms and everything like that. If those guys continue to light it up and continue to bring the heat and continue to win games and potentially make it to the Calder Cup or whatever the case is, if they have a good winning season, I mean, I would like to see what the numbers are. I'd like to come back and readdress this player, at the end of the season and see where he is in relation to, what we talked about today,
yeah,
you know. And then that way maybe we could have a better judge on, all right, well, Max played really well. He scored da 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 points. He had so many goals. He did da 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 da. Yeah, let's bring him into camp. I mean, what at that point, what do you got to lose? At that point, you're not really signing him to anything if you invite somebody to camp, right?
you're not. But at the same time, if he's a free agent, then and has played so well this season, how many other teams are going to be looking at him? So I think they if they're going to do something, they should do it, fairly
Yeah.
quickly and get him under contract before somebody else does. Obviously Buffalo may have let him go a little early or didn't, bring him along like they should have, and now they may be regretting that seeing his play. So
It does kind of seem that way because he does have that size too. He is over 6 foot, right?
he is.
He's like 6'1" and like 200 pounds or something crazy like that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's like, I mean, that's we've been clamoring for that. Guys that are big enough and tall enough and whatever got some thickness, that can withstand and can throw their body around things like that too. And so, I would like to address this again at the end of the AHL season to see how Max has come along and see where he's at. You know what I mean? So I'd be interested in checking that out for sure. Um, I like that idea though of him coming in and playing. And this was a great article, Lance. Thank you very much for writing another really really awesome one, man. I think what we're going to try to do here is we're going to try and play our commercial. We've got some great sponsorships that we've been able to acquire. They've been gracious enough to sponsor the SteelFlyers All Sports Network, and they've also been gracious enough to um, support the Hockey Writers Inc. They really love all the shows that we do here, and it's great that this company has joined in, and we're going to play a commercial for them. And hopefully, you guys can check out a really great sponsor and a really great company that will be able to take care of your dog. And we'll be right back after this. Greetings. This is Steel Flyers from the Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and we have two very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of two locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. Taken care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. And both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God. All right. Thank you very much for CCC Resorts for being our sponsor. We really appreciate that. And if you definitely need to get your dog taken care of, that's a place to check out. So thank you very much for CCC Resorts for being our sponsor. All right, Lance. We're ready to move on here to the next article here that was, I mean, the ink is still dripping on this one. uh, Proposed Flyers defender acquisition is Ekholm, the only option. And Lance's latest article, just posted today on Flyers Nitty Gritty, has us asking a very important question. We both really like the idea of Matthias Ekholm coming to Philadelphia. What's going to be the cost?
Yeah, that's what I hinted at in the article. I think
Oh no, you didn't hint at it.
right.
No. There was no hint.
Yeah, I think it's going to be too much for the Flyers. He is great, but there's a couple of different things that are tough to handle in that sense if they acquired him. Um, One of them being that he still has a year on his contract after this season, which with the expansion draft is not good because you have Provorov, you have Sanheim, you have Myers, and then you would have him, but you can only save three defensemen.
Oh,
So who are you going to lose, or who are you not going to protect in this expansion draft? Because if you don't protect one of those, I guarantee one of those is you're going to lose. So that is one of the biggest things that needs to be thought of when all these predictors and everything are going out there saying that we need to go get him. Yes, he is a great shutdown defenseman. That is been proven for many seasons now. But that last another year of his contract after this is hurting the Flyers if they acquire him. Plus the fact that he would then have his salary be getting in the way of Chuck being able to resign our own players, and that's 3.75, I think, that he gets
Yes.
paid, that
Yes.
we would then be in charge of and have on the books, that is now already being taken away from Chuck to be able to resign our own players.
Okay. I get you. I get you. And however, what let's just all right, let's just say if we could have McWorld, all right, and we didn't have to give everything up for this player. I mean, we pretty much know that they're going to be looking for a first round pick.
Yes, and that's what's really going to be needing to come back in a sense, because they're not going to give up a guy who's a top four defenseman who still has a year left on his contract for nothing. They're going to want an elite prospect and or a first round pick for him. And is he really that guy that is going to push the Flyers over the top to be able to compete with Boston, who has had our number all season and last, and Tampa Bay, who has had our number as well? No, I don't think he is that guy. He is going to improve the defense immensely, but is he that guy? I don't think so. And would it then be
Wow.
worth giving up that first round pick
Yeah.
for a guy that is not going to make us that legit contender this season?
And
Okay.
potentially could be going away because he would not necessarily be protected.
Right. And that just to lose at the end if he doesn't, obviously you're going to protect those younger guys that are 24 and that we have drafted over a 30-year-old, but you
Okay.
just acquired him and spent all that
Yeah.
assets on him. So what do you do?
Okay. Well, here's another interesting thought. We trade for him, right?
Hmm.
They're gonna want some kind of defensive something in return, right? I'm sure we could find somebody on the defense that we could at least pony up for him or for them. You know what I mean? Somebody would be, with a few exceptions that I wouldn't accept. Like if they say Cam York, I would have to say no. You know what I'm saying? If they said somebody like that, I'd be like, yeah, no, okay, we're good. You know what I'm saying? But if they could give somebody up that would be an elite prospect, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I wouldn't have a problem with them giving up a number one pick if he was going to be that player that they could keep. If they're not going to be able to keep him, then you're exactly right. This is not worth the time and the effort because we won't be able to protect him. Okay, and if we do protect him, that leaves somebody else that could potentially be vulnerable that we don't want to lose. Unless he's that guy, unless they think he's going to be that. I mean, we don't know Chuck Fletcher's head. All we can do is talk about the. All we can do is be reactory. We can't. All we can
Right.
do is
So
react.
So Chuck Fletcher, in the past, since his time as the Flyers general manager, has made multiple trades with Nashville already.
Yeah.
He he sent he sent Wayne Simmons there to free up cap space. He's made multiple trades with them at the draft to be able to acquire and jump up to acquire certain players, which worked out for us as well. So he has a good working relationship with them. But I just really don't think that he is that guy that's going to vault us to the next level. So what do you do? And in my article, I suggested another name,
Yep.
and that name is David Savard from
Yep.
Columbus Blue Jackets. His name has been rumored to be out there as well. He's the same age. He's 30 years old. He's more physical.
Mm-hmm.
He clears the front of the porch. He blocks shots. He'll stand up for his players when somebody takes, like a Tom Wilson, takes a dirty hit on them. He stands up for them. And, I think that he is an expiring contract, which would help us this season. He would then be probably not picked up because they would not be sure in the expansion draft, that is, that he would not be able to re-signed with him, and they would lose that then pick. So if he played out the season and we wanted to re-sign him, he would be a free agent. We could do it after the expansion draft and re-sign him again if we so chose.
Maybe if he was
Maybe.
available.
Yeah, well, if he's available, if after we acquired him. So, I think that would be the much better option, and it would require the Flyers to give up a lot less. With an expiring contract, Columbus has got to think that, hey, if we trade this guy, we think we're going to lose him anyway. We have some other younger kids that can take his spot for a lot cheaper. Thanks for your time here, but we're probably going to be moving on, and likely you're going to be moving on, knowing that. So why not try to get something for him if they're going to be out of the playoffs in a sense? So I think that a trade for maybe a Gustafson, who would fill that role in his spot for this season, and potentially a third round pick or so, would then be able to acquire David Savard, shore up the defense, do all those odd and end jobs that guys on the defense now aren't doing, and be an expiring contract and not be a weight that we would have to either protect, or that contract leering over us for next season when we have all these guys to sign of our own.
Yeah. All right. Well, all that aside, what does he bring to the table?
Yeah, like I said, he definitely brings that same shutdown defenseman in a sense that Ekholm does, but he does so with more physicality. He does so with more block shots. He's more willing to step in front of shots.
A
He's
grittier
more.
player.
He's a little bit grittier. He's definitely more willing to push guys out of the front of the net. He's definitely will drop his gloves. He doesn't do it often, and he's not great at it, but he doesn't stop and think about doing it. He just reacts when something
All right.
does not go, the way it should, and he'll drop the gloves with the best in the league in a sense to protect his own players. So I think in that sense, is he as good as maybe Ekholm is offensively? No, but I think he is that calming presence that we talked about previously that could square up that defense for the rest of this season, and maybe bring some great back end talent back onto the Flyers, and hopefully help them out for the rest of the season.
I like that idea, Lance. That's really awesome because we've all seen, we've all salivated over Ekholm going, oh gosh, it would be so great if he could play for the Flyers. Yeah, it would be great. But when you look at the logistics and you look at somebody like Savard, who brings that calming veteran presence back there on the blue line, which the Flyers desperately need, and he has an expiring contract, I mean, that's win-win. And his current contract right now, the Flyers wouldn't even be on the hook for all of it anyway.
Right.
Okay, so whatever he's making now, which is not that much, is it? What's he doing? Three,
I think
five?
I think he's a little bit more than Ekholm actually.
Oh, really?
But it's not by much. And it could easily be taken care of trading one for one defenseman, like we said, and
Gustafson.
Gustafson, and we could make up that difference.
Oh gosh, Lance, you're teasing me, man.
Yeah, it's there. It's logical in a sense, and we wouldn't have to give up that big of an asset like a first round pick or
as
an
much
elite level prospect. Yeah, to be able to acquire him because he has that expiring contract.
I'm with you.
So with that, I think that the Flyers, if they wanted to then look elsewhere for more help, they could. And they wouldn't have to waste that first round pick on a defenseman that we already have a ton of coming up the pike anyway in the future.
Yep.
But we could then go out and acquire maybe a scoring first liner or something like that,
Oh, be still my heart.
and be ready to give up that, first round pick now that we have so much depth at every position, thanks to Ron Hextall and Chuck Fletcher, already coming up the pike. We are now in a different a different time in development, and we could essentially do that to make a
Mm-hmm.
stronger playoff push and get that sniper that we so need on this team. We have plenty of depth scoring and plenty of guys who can maybe put up 15 to 20, but maybe we could go out and get a guy that could touch 35 or 40.
I'm here to tell you now. I'm gonna say the name here as soon as I say this, because when we did our quarter mark show with Jim Jackson, and Jim said exactly, and he even said it the other night during the game against. I think I can't remember if it was against the Pens or if it was against
Buffalo.
the Buffalo, which I think it was against Buffalo, where he said, "We have a team full of passers. We do not have a team that has shooters. We need a shooter. We need somebody with that shoot first mentality." We talked about this today on the Perlo show, where if you pass the puck more than 3 times during the power play, and on that third pass, you better be shooting it. Because 4, 5, 6 passes? Come on. They're just waiting for you. They're standing there, and you're just passing it around them. There's no movement. You're not getting the goalie to go side to side. There's nobody standing in front. I get it.
Yeah.
The player that you do mention, though, has me salivating. And I have to tell you, man, I got to be honest with you here, man. I've been saying this ever since I heard about Johnny Hockey wanting out of Calgary. And I would say, please come to Philadelphia. Tell me how we could get him, please.
Okay. So
make it happen, Magic Lance.
right. So this is just, I put this in the article to say, if we didn't go out and waste that first round pick on an Ekholm, we could then really push to get somebody else. I think that this is stagnant. The Flyers are stagnant in a sense of since Chuck Fletcher came in. Okay, we got Kevin Hayes from a trade where he dished out a 5th round pick and got that opportunity to bring him in as a free agent and be able to talk to him a little early. Okay, that's the one big thing that he really has done to make a difference or to make take this Ron Hextall team to make it his own in a sense. And for any length of time moving forward. And I think the core of Giroux, Voracek and all these guys are kind of stagnant. And we've seen what they have brought to the table. They haven't been able to bring a cup. And you can't tell me that Chuck Fletcher and AV have sat there since 2018 when they came into the at tail end of 2018 and aren't saying right now, like, hey, I wish we could bring a guy in, or I wish we could get rid of this guy. He doesn't really fit our system. I want this guy. I want to go out and grab this guy and kind of change it up a little bit. It's stagnant to me, guys. And a guy like Johnny Hockey is a guy who wants to be in Philadelphia. His family lives right around the corner and could make every single game, every single Flyers game when more and more fans could get him back in there now. But this guy wants to be on the East Coast. He was drafted by Calgary. Great. But he wants to be back home, closer to his parents, closer to his family and friends over here. He grew up playing for the Little Flyers growing up.
And he was part of the whole Ed Snyder. He was part of that whole Ed Snyder thing too, wasn't he?
I don't know. The Little Flyers, or organization, the junior program for sure. And he did play for them growing up and was phenomenal. But this guy wants to be here. And if trading for him, he still has a year left on his contract. I got a little flack today for this, though. He's smaller. We always preach on this show size, physicality, grit. Okay. But you also need guys that can put the puck in the net. And Johnny Hockey is one of those guys that can single handedly do it by himself. He is a dangler. He's a Pavel Dasuk in that sense, where he can
Oh,
take it from the defensive end
oh
and
yeah.
skate it through everybody and put the puck on net and in the back of it. Okay. That's what this team needs. And Calgary, in a sense, is going to be looking to get rid of him probably sooner rather than later. He's a first line player. He's not dropping in any sense. He's actually um, coming back off a kind of sloping season that he had last season,
Yeah, yeah.
in a sense where Matthew Tkachuk came into play a lot and kind of took that spotlight off Johnny. And now both of them are going to have expiring contracts at the same time. And
Yep.
who do you pay? The
Yeah.
younger, more physical guy
I'm
in
sure that's who
Kachuk,
they're gonna do. That's
who is,
probably who.
who is
Yeah.
turning into the face of the franchise now? Or do you let, pay a guy like Johnny Hockey or try to overpay him to get him to stay there when you know his heart's not really there? Um,
And if you can try to get something for him, I mean,
and,
I
and
think, I think that's
yeah,
what they're gonna try to do. They're
and
gonna go ahead.
right. And do you wait another season at this point next season and try to start talking
No.
to him for that?
Yeah.
Or do you go out there and just give your best shot at acquiring a guy like this and shake up the lineup a little bit and get that little bit of scoring touch to the Flyers offense? Like you said, we have a team full of passers. We have Giroux. He has one goal on the season this year.
Yep.
He scores points, obviously, but he's a pass first guy, and so is Jake Voracek.
Yep.
He's a pass
They're
first guy,
playmakers. They're
playmakers.
playmakers. See, look, you need to have some of them on your team. I'm not discarding that at all. Okay, but you need to have guys like a Johnny Gaudreau who is going to be that shoot first guy because look, could you imagine let's just play McWorld again and put Johnny Gaudreau on the Flyers. Who would you pair? I mean, I could see him playing with Lindblom, maybe, and or Lawton. I think that would be just sick.
No, I think he plays. I think he steps in day one and takes over that first line left wing role and plays with Sean Couturier and maybe Jake on the right side
Well, hold
to
on now, hold on now, because if we're going to be bringing Johnny Gaudreau here, one of those players that you just mentioned ain't going to be here.
Sure, you got to trade salary for salary, and Johnny plays for a contract currently of 6.75 million. Okay, but I think does Calgary want to take on Giroux? I don't think they trade him. I think they let him retire as a Flyer. So it would have to be maybe I want to say maybe Jake, but that's more salary. They're hurting more than us on the salary cap, so
Yeah,
they
and
can't take on more salary
Jake is a bigger contract as well
and it's
than
a bigger contract. So do you trade then? A lot of people aren't gonna like this, but a Travis Konechny for him. Travis Konechny's younger. He plays for less salary, but he was the Flyers' leading goal scorer last season during the regular season, but he didn't step up during the playoffs. He hasn't really amassed that many points this season. Um, do you take a shot at a guy that is a five-time All-Star in Calgary?
how many
And
years left do you think Johnny has?
I I think he could potentially have at least uh, one, two, three, 4 or 5 good seasons left in him
Okay.
at a high level of hockey.
Yeah. Is he
And
he's over 30 now, right? Or is he just
no,
30?
no, I don't think he's 30 at all. I think he is
28.
27 right
Oh.
now. So
Then
he is in the prime of his career right now.
okay, so then
Uh,
here's what's going to happen. Here's in my opinion what I think would need to happen. They're going to probably need that first round draft pick for Johnny.
right. So what I suggested was giving them potentially a first round pick. You maybe a guy like Konechny, maybe a guy maybe a guy not salary wise, but if it happened next season and couldn't happen this time, maybe a guy like a Nolan Patrick, who really hasn't turned out to be that number 2 overall pick. You know, that would entice them. But a prospect that they're probably going to want that would be an Azumala, which played in the WHL
Yeah.
for the Calgary Hitmen,
Yeah.
right in their own backyard, who they've seen for a long time there, that signed with us, that they got a good look at in Calgary.
That doesn't sound that bad. I wouldn't
When you
necessarily.
it wouldn't hurt as much. Zumala is a great player. He's one of my favorite defensive prospects that the Flyers currently have. But it doesn't hurt that much when you have Millman, when you have Wyatt Wiley, when you have a guy like Cam York.
Cam
That's
York
where
coming back up through. Yeah.
right. So that's what I'm saying, guys. With this depth now in every single position, you can give up a prospect to get a elite level NHL talent coming
Yeah.
back that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. I'm with you.
A guy that scores 30 goals a season, 35 goals a season is coming back in that sense. Yeah, I'll give up that prospect for a guy like that for sure.
I'm probably going to get into some heat too, but I'm going to have to agree with you. I would give up Konechny for him. I would give up. Look, I know Konechny scored the most goals for the Flyers last year, but when you look at the record of Johnny Gaudreau and you see his production over the years, that to me, look, and we know that Johnny Hockey is a number 1 draft pick. He was what, 12th or 13th or something stupid like that overall, right? The year that he was drafted.
I don't think so. I think he slipped a little bit because of
Really?
his size. Yeah, I think
Okay.
he's.
But I think he was still a first round pick though.
I think he was a fourth.
Really?
Yeah, I think he was a
All
fourth.
right. Well,
Yeah,
then, boy, did Calgary score on that one.
yeah, for sure. But don't quote me on that. But I think he was a fourth. But that's the thing. I think that he's been doing it a long time,
That's what I
and
mean. He's a
he
proven
can,
commodity.
yes, and Konechny in a sense like that. Wouldn't want to give up Konechny, but you can't keep if you get Johnny in, like, that's a smaller guy. You can't then have a guy like Konechny being that small. You don't want a bunch of Danny Brières out there.
Gosh, I'm
And,
starting to affect you now, man. That's horrible. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
but in a sense, you don't know in a sense what
Yeah.
Calgary is going to want coming back, and we can speculate all day and night. But the thing about it is, this is just one name that the Flyers could potentially go out there
Yeah.
and acquire.
Yeah.
But in a sense, if you really want a guy, and we're at that point once again, we've had multiple years where we tanked and got draft picks and acquired all these guys that are coming up through the ranks. Now we have an abundance of people at depth in positions all over the ice that we could then trade that aren't all going to make it
Yeah.
and are just going to leave the team and not sign with us like people have already and Wyatt Kolnuk,
Yeah.
which
No.
is Chicago. So that's going to happen more and more if we don't utilize those picks and get rid of the ones that are maybe or tier 2 guys to maybe acquire an elite level talent. And that's where we need to do it. I think we need to switch up a little bit. It's proving it's not working right now. Yes, okay, we beat the Buffalo Sabres, but the Buffalo Sabres are the Buffalo Sabres. Okay, they don't have Dominic Hasek in net anymore. They're not contending in the playoffs every
We.
season.
That's right. And when I consistently can see the Flyers beating teams that are benchmark teams like Boston's, like Penguins, like when I see us when the Flyers start beating those teams on a regular basis, then I'll have that kind of thing. Look, I got one last question here for you, man. Do you think that Chuck is going to pull the trigger on something this season?
It really depends. I think he should for sure. But if the Flyers keep losing games, it may not be worth pulling the trigger so at the trade deadline. So it's an odd year. Of course, the Flyers don't have a lot of fans in there, so they're not pulling in capital, and money and revenue and all that
Well,
sense.
that's
So
changing.
yeah, 500 fans is not gonna pay the bills, even keep the lights on.
2,800 fans isn't going to even pay the bills either.
No, my Comcast bill that they charge me every month is keeping the lights on right now. That's for
That's
sure.
the truth about that,
Good
boy. Woo!
grief, good
All
grief.
right, well, listen,
But
man, I'll tell you what. I think that something needs to happen because the Flyers need to start putting more consistent wins together. Okay. Now, I was very impressed with how the Flyers came out of their COVID break and out shooting teams, and that was impressive. Okay, but the game against the Penguins the other night was. I'm sorry, but that's no. Look, I'm not sorry. That to me was unacceptable. That loss was completely unacceptable and should never have happened. Okay, and I'm not sorry for that at all. You know what I mean? I'm not sorry for that at all. So
yeah, I think that the Flyers, obviously they may have played a bad game against the Penguins. I'm okay with that, one game or whatever, but the Penguins are not the Penguins that they once were. They're aging. Obviously, they hired Ron Hextall to kind of finally take a turn to realize that and develop prospects now. You got to think that they're going that route with Hextall there and trying to get a new core group coming up in the next coming years.
yeah,
And how they're playing tonight uh, is not great either.
yeah,
So they got to get consistent wins. They got to be able to beat teams that they should be beating on a nightly basis and compete against the elite teams at least and keep it in a game. And when you're allowing those elite level teams and those elite level players to score hat tricks on you in those games, that is not cutting the mustard
that's
for
not
sure.
conducive to putting consistent wins together. No.
The Flyers are proving that they can score, but if they're going to push themselves to that next level, I think they need to make some trades. I think they need to shake some things up and move some personnel that have been here for a number of
I'm
years
with you. It's
and
time.
and really take this team with the Farabys and other people that are excelling now and Couturier's and move to that next generation of
Yep.
talent
Yeah,
and
I'm with
and
you.
try
Mhm.
to try to rebuild a little bit more quicker turnaround though and get a new blood in here that could help that.
I'm with you, man. All day, I'm with you on that for sure. Well, Lance, I'll tell you what, my brother. We got another good one in the can, I think. We talked about some really good things here tonight. And what really has me a little bit concerned is just exactly that. We need to get some more of the consistent winning. And I really do feel that Chuck needs to pull the trigger on something if they want to try to do something this year. Okay, I understand they're in a unique position and things of that nature, but and, look, here's the really messed up part about all this. The fact that the Flyers have a winning record, and here we are complaining and worried and waving red flags, and because we're seeing them. So.
Right. I see that. But to that sense, I would say, yes, we have a winning record, but is that good enough, guys? Do you expect more? And I do, in a sense. I want to see that team progress to compete and go to the Eastern Conference Finals like they did so many times in the 90s
Yep.
and early
Yep.
2000s.
Yep.
Uh, I don't want to just make the playoffs and get beat out first or second round
Exactly.
just to get a worse draft pick. If we're going to lose, then we might as well tank and get a
Get a
you
better
know
draft pick.
get a better draft pick. But who wants to do that? I don't think the
Yeah, no.
Philadelphia fans want that. I think they want to see their team compete.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. So speaking of competing, I think we're gonna compete this one right on into the can, and we're gonna say, man, you got any prospects for some new ink?
I just finished that article up today. I've got a couple thoughts in my head, but I really just starting to get them down on paper.
Yeah, man.
Nothing serious so far, but over the course of this weekend, probably I'll drum up some different ideas and try to put something to paper for sure.
You got it. Sounds good, my man. Well, here we go. This was Opening Eyes and Turning Heads, and we'd like to thank Lance, your host. You can follow Lance on Twitter at
LNGBASSIST, the number's 39.
And you can follow me on Twitter at SteelFlyers52. Once again, we'd like to thank our sponsors, www.cccresorts.com, for sponsoring the Steel Flyers All Sports Network and also for sponsoring the Hockey Writers Inc. We would like to thank you guys for joining us again for another great episode. Please hit the like and subscribe. Please let us know what you think. Yeah, please, because the more you guys like us and stuff like that, the more content we bring you, and we love doing this. And Lance, really appreciate you flying along, and we'll catch you on the flip side.